Hi, everyone. Welcome to Outgrow's Marketer of the Month. I'm your host, Dr. Saksham Sharda. I'm the creative director at outgrow.co. And for this month, we're going to interview Robbie Baxter, who is a strategy consultant and author of The Membership Economy. Thanks for joining us, Robbie.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
So, we're going to start with a rapid fire round just to break the ice. Try to keep your answers to one word or one sentence only, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, the first question: how long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
10 minutes.
Okay. How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
Survive for a brief period of time,
Hmm.
4 or 5 hours. On a general basis, I need my 8.
Okay. Pick one: Mark Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, wow. You're one of the first persons who've picked him. Usually people pick Jack Dorsey. All right. The first movie that comes to your mind when I say the word ambition.
uh, Equity.
Hmm. The biggest mistake of your career.
Not being thoughtful enough in the job hunt after business school.
Okay. Giving presents or getting presents.
Giving presents.
Okay. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
A lot.
The most valuable skill you've learned in life.
To build connections.
Hmm. Fill in the blank. An upcoming marketing trend is blank.
Community.
Hmm. And finally, your favorite Tiger King character.
Didn't watch it.
Okay. Well, that's the end of the rapid fire round. We're now going to go on to the bigger questions. Be prepared that we're going to quote you on these rapid fire round answers, and you'll see yourself all over the internet
Oh
with
boy.
the answers. Okay. The first question is: what led to the membership economy?
What led to writing the book,
Yeah.
or yeah. So
You can actually interpret it both ways, so you can go for both because it's a long question. Up to you.
sure. So um, I was working as a consultant for Netflix, and I fell in love with their business model. And at the same time as I was falling in love with that business model, this is almost 20 years ago, uh, a lot of other companies were too. And I started getting requests from people who wanted to understand if what Netflix was doing could be applied to whatever business they were in, software as a service, dental pain management products, insurance, you name it, somebody wanted to Netflix it. And I spent a lot of time really thinking about what that meant and what were those elements that were transferable from company to company, and why was this transformation happening. And I came to call that transformation the membership economy. And
Mm,
I spent another several years working with organizations that were either part of the membership economy or wanted to join. And I found that I was repeating myself a lot. I found that nobody was really able to kind of see that full picture that I was seeing about how this transformation was changing industry after industry, and how applicable these tactics were from small business, big business, tech business, traditional business. And so I was moved to write it all down, to say, I want to create a framework that other people can use, and help them understand and see what I was seeing. And so that's why I wrote The Membership Economy, which came out in 2015. Flash forward to 2020, I don't have to explain to anybody the power of subscription revenue, the importance of your churn metric, any of those things. Now it's much more about how do you do it. But 5 years ago, and certainly 15 years ago, I had to spend a lot of time explaining to people why it was so powerful and why they should care.
Interesting. And I guess the world has changed really fast in the past 10 years, now that you mention
Yeah.
it. And what do you think has changed about clients in terms of what they expect from consultancy firms?
I mean, that's an interesting question. In terms of, my own experience, I've been an independent consultant now for almost 20 years. And before that, I was a strategy consultant at a big firm. So I've had, multiple experiences in consulting, both as an independent and, with a big brand behind me. I think that most organizations are much more receptive to independent and boutique consulting firms. They understand how to use consultants much better. They understand the distinction between a contractor and a consultant. A contractor really just is arms and legs that fills an existing role that's not permanent. And a consultant is really bringing their expertise to solve a certain problem or achieve a certain goal. So those, I mean, I think that's what I think has really changed, and there's just been a huge proliferation of consultants out there hanging out their shingles, and I think it's still pretty hard to figure out who's really good and what they're good at. That's maybe the next horizon, the next hurdle for the consulting profession to cross.
Mm. So you would say all in all, the consulting profession has established itself strongly as the years have gone by.
Well, not exactly. I mean, I think that the consulting practice, the world of consultants was quite established
Mm,
even 20 years ago, with Bain and BCG and Booz Allen and McKinsey and Accenture and
mm,
Deloitte. I mean, there were tons, Tata. There were tons of big consulting firms out there, but what I think has changed is the rise of the independent consultant and an increased sophistication among a broader range of managers about how to hire and deploy consulting resources in their part of the ecosystem.
mm. Okay. So the next question is a little different. Memberships, subscriptions, and freemiums. What do customers really want? Do you think out of these?
Well, so that's like an apples and oranges question, but let me break it down. Uh, for me, there's a membership mindset that an organization needs to have that gives them the right to price their offering as a subscription. A subscription is a pricing decision. It's a tactic. It's not a strategy. It's a
Mm,
way of structuring the value exchange that hopefully better aligns the needs of the customer with the offering itself. So if I have an ongoing problem or an ongoing objective, having an ongoing subscription might make more sense than giving me a product, selling me a product that is immediately, from the minute I buy it, it's no longer the latest and greatest. I'm going to have to handle
mm,
maintenance and repairs or what have you, versus subscribing and having access to the best available at all times. So I think subscription is just a tactic for how to price that. Membership is the mindset of the organization about how to treat that customer and how to optimize around that customer's long-term goals. And freemium is a another pricing decision, where the company says we're going to give some people a paid subscription and we're going to give other people a free subscription. So free plus premium makes freemium. And
mm.
so it's funny. I wrote an article today about, is freemium dead? I I don't think freemium is dead. I think that freemium has been overused and incorrectly used so many times that it's almost easier to tell organizations to stop using it than to really educate them on the nuances of what makes freemium work in some cases and not work in other cases.
Interesting. And could you give us like one example of a company that has used memberships well, subscriptions well, and freemiums well?
Yeah. So back to my other point, I don't think of
Mm,
them as products like that,
mm,
memberships, premiums, and subscriptions. I think of membership as a mindset. So I think
mm,
organizations that are really focused on the long-term objectives of their customers are the ones that do that really well. The obvious examples are probably Amazon, Netflix, LinkedIn, Peloton. Those are some obvious examples. I think a less obvious example is Apple. Apple's only really introduced subscription pricing in the last few years. Prior to that, most of their business was based on hardware products that you bought outright. But even when they only had hardware products, their mindset was always about solving your long-term problem, building a long-term relationship with the customer, right? You'd walk into an Apple store and you'd say, "What do I need?" You tell me, I trust you, and I'm an Apple person. And that's very much an indicator of a member mindset. And in terms of organizations that have used freemium successfully and well, I think, there's three reasons when freemium makes sense. One is when you're trying to change a group's long-term behaviors, you're trying to change how they show them that they can do something in a different way that justifies a subscription because they don't think they need it. For example, newspapers, when they went to digital, a lot of people said, I could
Mm,
never read a paper on my phone or on my computer. I love the paper over my cup of coffee in the morning. And they said, okay, great. So we'll give you 10 free articles a month, and if you really don't use the digital product, you won't mind that. That'll be plenty for you. And what happened is most people, many people, found themselves hitting that paywall after a week, not a
mhm,
month, and realizing, oh, look at that. I'm actually using the digital product. Maybe I should subscribe. So that was a great use of freemium. The other two reasons for using freemium is either if the subscriber, the free subscriber, is the product, so that can be an advertising driven model, or it
mm,
can be when there's a network effect like LinkedIn, where the vast majority of people don't pay for a LinkedIn subscription. But if the rest of us, the non-payers, the freemium subscribers, if we weren't there at LinkedIn, it wouldn't be
yeah.
valuable for the recruiters and
Mm,
salespeople, job seekers who pay. So that's an
mm,
example. And then the third reason for freemium that I think makes sense is when the people who get it for free are actually an advertise or a marketing channel for the organization. So in other words, influencers. I'm not paying for the subscription, but I'm encouraging you to buy it, and you are going to pay. It might be worthwhile to give me a free subscription, or any
mm,
other kind of influencer, or if there's an organic viral component, like in olden times Hotmail, where I send you a free email, and at the bottom it says, if you need an email account, click here. And so I was
mhm,
actually unwittingly serving
mhm,
as a marketing channel for Hotmail, just in the process of me sending out emails to my friends and contacts.
mm. So, what do you think a membership economy is really about? Who can benefit from it?
I think any organization can benefit from applying these principles if the customer they are trying to reach has other alternatives. Um, if
Mm,
sales and marketing matter, if you need real skill in those areas in your organization in order to be successful, membership could really be useful for you. Um, so it might be useful to say, give some examples of where it doesn't necessarily make sense. If I have a patent, and I'm the only option for you, if
mm.
I have the the only vaccine, hypothetically speaking, to for COVID, it doesn't matter if I don't spend a nickel on sales or marketing. It doesn't matter how I treat you. You don't have a choice, right? Because I'm the only game in town. Uh, if I'm the last gas for 100 kilometers, and you need petrol, you need fuel, you're going to buy from me, even if my bathrooms are dirty, even if I'm rude to you, even if I don't build a relationship with you. In fact, I may never see you again. But in any other, and if I sell a commodity at a market, right? If I'm a fisherman and there's only one place to sell my fish and there's a fixed market price, it probably doesn't make sense for me to think really hard about building a membership model for that one customer that is the marketplace. But for everybody else, thinking about your customers' long term goals and optimizing your products and services around those long term goals is going to unearth new opportunities for you and build a more profitable revenue stream.
Mm. So, which is the best way then to develop a long term relationship with a customer?
The best way to develop a long term relationship with a customer is
Mm,
first to understand what they need from you. What's their ongoing problem? What's their ongoing goal that you're helping to solve? If I go to a store to buy a white blouse, right, it's because I'm giving a speech and I want to look professional, right? That's really different than somebody else who's going to buy a white blouse who needs it um, because they want to have the latest blouse and they have 27 different blouses and they care a tremendous amount about the fabric and the cut and they're a designer.
Mm,
Depending on which one of us they're optimizing around, there's a lot of additional products and services that they could provide. And by thinking about where that customer's going next and what else they're going to need and how you can more fully help them solve their problem, you're going to identify more ways to bring that customer back and continue offering value to them. And so it's really just a question of where your focus is. Is it on how am I going to get the customer in the front door, or what am I going to do once they get there? And even just shifting your lens to how am I going to continue to help them solve their problem once they arrive is going to dramatically increase the average lifetime value of each individual customer.
mm. So I guess this like builds into the next question, which is what, according to you, is the best way to build the perfect acquisition funnel? Uh, how would you phrase that?
Yeah, it's such a funny question. I like that question that you're asking because I think that the best way to build a good acquisition funnel is first of all to start by knowing who your best customers are and being really particular about who you allow into that funnel in the first place. If they're going to, leave after the first month, you may lose money on them. So you may not want them in your funnel at all. So really understanding who your best customers are, your best members are for the long term
Mm,
is step one of building a healthy acquisition funnel.
okay. All right. And which company, I think this is a bit repetitive, but which company, according to you, has used the membership strategy at its best? So just one company that you could, I guess you're going to say Netflix.
Um, I could say Netflix. I could say LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is
Mm,
phenomenal. They're now part of Microsoft. Uh, they have continued to layer in value. Their, forever promise is, these are my words, is to help professionals thrive for their entire career. And that's a big goal. That's a long-term goal. A funny story about LinkedIn, when those guys started, before they started LinkedIn, they started another company called SocialNet, which is a dating site. And they have the same principles of having this long-term focus on helping their subscribers achieve their goals. But helping somebody find their soulmate might take 6 months, and then you don't want them in your pool anymore. And so they said the next time we start a company, we want a longer runway. And so they focused on helping people thrive in their careers. And over the last 20 years or so, they have they started with basically being a resume posting service, and then a contact management service where you can kind of keep track of your contacts. And then they've built out, all of these different services to help you thrive in your career, from, helping you find a
recommendations.
job. Yeah, recommendations, get being able to post recommendations. They
Mm,
bought lynda.com, which is now LinkedIn Learning, where I have 10 courses that I've created with them. They have thousands of courses to help people, improve their professional skills. Now they're part of Microsoft, so they're much more closely integrated with Microsoft Office and Skype and all of that. So I think they're a great example of an organization that continues to focus on that goal and keep layering in benefits over time.
so can you predict what direction LinkedIn is headed in after this? Like something that we can expect from LinkedIn in the future?
Well, I mean, just given that they were acquired, that they're part of Microsoft, and you're thinking about if the goal is to help people thrive in their professional career, and Microsoft
Mm,
has all of these tools, they have, Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Office,
mm,
um, and all of their, enterprise technology, you can start to see how those things could be integrated to create even more value in the workplace, and at the enterprise level. I would imagine that's one place. I think also, I'm just noticing as a LinkedIn instructor that they're translating things, they're expanding the kind of courses they're offering. Uh, so it's definitely also going global and reaching new industries. It used to be that certain industries didn't really participate much in LinkedIn, and bit by bit, it's truly becoming, the global professional community.
And are there any competitors you can think for LinkedIn that would try to copy this membership model?
Um, well, I mean, there's different pieces of the
Mm,
model that different companies are trying to do. So, for example, LinkedIn has Pulse. They have a lot of editors. They have a lot of journalists and writers that are on the LinkedIn staff. Um, but Medium has also pretty aggressively gone after user generated but high quality business content and professional content. Um, a lot of professional associations and societies, LinkedIn kind of ate their lunch. I think they're coming
mm,
back and saying we need to figure out how to provide a deeper community for our specialized group, our specialized industry or professional group. But I can't think of a another organization that is truly trying to build a global professional community for
mm.
career success
What do you think of
on their
Glassdoor?
scale.
No. Glassdoor?
No.
No. I
Well,
think
I
it's
mean,
just job seeking.
Glassdoor for reviews of companies. I mean, they do some things that LinkedIn doesn't do very well. Reviews of
Mm,
companies,
mm,
and much more of a focus on what is it like to work there, as opposed to how do I develop the skills and get the job there. So,
mm.
yeah, you're right. That is an interesting company, and they are, using community to help people thrive in their professional career. Who knows? Maybe that's a good acquisition for LinkedIn.
Well, now that
Good
you put it
idea.
that way. All right, so that's the end. That's the last question, really. Thanks everyone for joining us for this month's episode of Outgrow's Market of the Month. That was Robbie Baxter, author of The Membership Economy. Thanks for joining us, Robbie.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. And can I mention that in addition to the membership economy, I have a new book that came out this spring, The Forever Transaction. And if the
Mm.
membership economy is why this trend is so important and why it might matter to you, the forever transaction is much more about how do I actually do it? How do I build a subscription model that works for my unique organization?
Oh, that's great. So do check out both the membership economy and the forever transaction for more details. And we'll see everyone next month once again for another market of the month.